borrow ideas.
Here we go. All right. We are live. Hey guys, happy first Friday of September. I'm surprised. I thought maybe I'd forget how to do this. It's been a while. You're hanging out with My Community Manager, the community built by, for, and managed by community managers. We used to do this every single Friday. Now we've switched for a while to the first Fridays of every month. You can hang out with us simultaneously over on Twitter at our hashtag CMGR Hangout, where some of you are right now. So, hey, Twitter people, thanks for showing up. All right, so what do we have for you this week? So this week we're doing Community Show and Tell. I think the title says it all, so we're just going to jump into introductions, starting with Julie.
Hey, everyone. Happy to be on My Community Manager or Community Manager Hangout. Finally, I was on CMAD, but I've been dying to be on this with Sherry and Brew. So thank you for having me. I'm the Senior Community Manager of Alteryx. We offer a self-service analytics platform which is really easy to use. It's like drag and drop interface for anyone who frequently works with data. Makes it really easy to blend data sources, prep your data, and get quick insights.
Awesome. Well, thanks for joining us, Julie. Hallie, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you guys? Thank you so much for inviting us. I am one of 5 community managers or soon to be 5, we have an open position, at Blackbaud. And Blackbaud is a cloud company. We provide technology to nonprofits so that they can continue to do good in the world.
Fantastic. Can't wait to hear everyone's projects. Crystal, how are you?
Hey, I'm good. I'm also a community manager at Blackbaud, and as Holly said, we are looking for our 5th community manager. So there is a great community manager position open with Blackbaud right now. You can follow me on Twitter. I have the job posting on it at CMGR Crystal. Currently, I look after 4 different product communities and a couple of spaces in the global community, and I've been doing it for about 2 years. So hi, everyone. Good to see everyone again.
Excellent. Hey, Sherry.
Hey, Brew. I'm glad you're back. Hey, everyone. I'm Sherry Rohde, and I'm the community manager at Magento, which is an open source e-commerce platform, and also co-produce the CMGR Hangout here with Brew.
Awesome. Hey, everybody. I'm Brew. I am so happy to be back. I am the director of Awesome at Be the Change Revolutions. We're a social media agency that focuses on communities and community management. Have to give a little shout out. We just were named one of the Inc. 500 fastest growing companies. So that was quite a cool thing over the last couple weeks. So jumping right into the question here. Let's talk about what community project you've been working on. So tell us a little bit about it. We just start with whoever wants to jump in first.
Okay, I'll go first. That's great. So again, I'm with Blackbaud, and our community is 2 years in the making at this point. So 2 years ago, we entered into a very ambitious project as a company. What we knew was that we had several individual product communities out there on several different platforms, lots of crazy things going on, no consistent management, no consistent business integration. They just kind of were. So 2 years ago, we integrated all of those systems. We brought everything into the same platform. And at that point, it was kind of a hurry up, get everything on one platform, and we'll make it look nice later. So we're very excited because we finally had time to stop and actually redesign our current platform and really did a complete overhaul of what is now the Blackbaud community. We represent 30 plus products that we serve. We have all kinds of agnostic or product agnostic spaces as well. And we've just really been able to take that disseminated model of community management from 2.5 years ago, streamline it into something that is a leading edge design for our company, and is really leveraging a lot of best practices in community management in general. do you guys want me to keep going deeper, or do we want to do a round robin on intros? Like, I can talk all day about this community.
So all right, well, let's start. We'll start with a simple introduction here. So who else has one for us?
I'll go. So our community has been, actually, we're celebrating our first anniversary for our community today. So that's quite timely. And I consider telling you all about our community history, but actually I wanted to tell you about the Alteryx Analytics Excellence Awards that we created sometime earlier this week to line up with our not community conference, but company conference. So just to give you a little background information about our community to start, it was created a year ago. We launched a year ago, and the company heavily invested into people, technology, and just the talent to bring all of the content that was spread across many different sites about our product, the help, documentation, knowledge base articles, support. All of that was kind of spread across. And so it was really now data design as well. It didn't really have any community management in place. It was more of a support, like literally support portal. And so our team was brought in to overhaul all of that, and we launched a really nice, modern, well-structured community and design last year. And so it's really been about trying to connect people with one another, allowing them to help information about our product and learn faster so that they can do their job better and faster as well. So the Alteryx Analytics Excellence Awards were created because we wanted to pull together more use case stories from all users who are from different industries, from marketing, retail, just, all of the industries that you can think about. And we wanted it to come from the customers themselves, not have it go through the marketing filters to create the customer testimonial or the white paper. We wanted it to come from them, and we wanted to recognize them as well for their success. We can probably all agree that the data analyst in your company is probably not the most celebrated person in the company, although their role is so important to the success of your company. So we wanted to elevate them and celebrate them and the great work that they're doing within their company. So we created the awards that we pulled in the nominations. We celebrated the winners at our conference at Inspire 2016 in San Diego, and all the work that went through that, creating the trophies, the gamification, the voting, the judging. That was a big several departments came together to make that happen, and we're really proud of it. So I'll tell you more about that in the later portion of the Hangout.
Awesome. Hey, Sherry, did you have a project you want to share a little bit about today?
I can, sure. I've been working on a few projects lately. The one most recently I'm working on is a project to better support our meetup organizers, which has involved setting up Meetup Pro for them to give like kind of a one-stop portal for those who are looking for a meetup to attend, as well as to help spread the word better for organizers, because we're able to share out that link with our community, and it helps give them more exposure to people who may not have known there's a meetup right in their backyard. And then in addition to that, we've created like a meetup kit for them with tips from veteran meetup organizers, as well as a logo that they're able to use that involves our logo in their city. And then created a space for them just to connect, to talk to each other. So that's been really good for them to be able to trade tips on, hey, what's working? How do you do this? Can you help me share this? Things like that. And then my big project from last year that is still very much a work in process is our top contributor program, Magento Masters. So what that actually is we've looked at top contributions across various aspects of the community to highlight who's really doing a lot to help the community move forward as a whole. And being able to do that has allowed us actually a lot of other things as well. But now that we're in phase 2 of that, I'm working on creating spotlight videos of our top contributors and making sure that they have a presence on the website and things like that. So there's never-ending details involved there.
Cool. I'm trying to think about community projects I have. So one of the things that I've been working on, which has kind of been interesting, is trying to find, well, basically in an hourly employee situation where you got kind of a distributed franchise across the U.S., figuring out ways to kind of connect those people and start to build community under more of an employment branding model. So it's like kind of new, a lot of challenges. That's been pretty cool. And then the other one is just getting involved in some college specific community building and discovery and things like that. So those were two things. Crystal, did you have something you wanted to talk a little bit about, more of your like different focus on your project?
Yeah, so Holly and I are the same community, Blackbaud, but her focus and my focus are a little bit different. One of my strategic goals is to focus on engagement in community. So it really is creating those spaces within our community that members can come and engage with one another. I don't know if we're starting this show yet. Are we waiting on this show, or are we showing now? I don't know.
Yeah,
I can show you the spaces I'm talking about.
Sure.
Okay,
yeah, absolutely.
yeah.
Go for it. Let's do it.
Listen, I'm kicking off the show and tell portion of community show and tell. So let's do that. All right. So hopefully you guys can see it. You guys seeing it?
Yep, looks great.
Awesome. All right. So this is Community 2.0, as we affectionately call it. Jokingly asked Holly if she had some slides of the before so we could show you how much of a progression this was, because it was a huge overhaul for us. But some of the engagement spaces that I was talking about are featured content, which is featured in our sliding bar here. So that just drives people from their the door, as we like to call it, the front page, into the community and different things that they can check out. So we usually have about 5, because it's 5 days a week that we're doing. Sometimes we have 6 if we have an event. But some of our strategies right now are asking them what their win for the week is. Just a little bit of a backstory. I don't want to take up too much time. Blackbaud is, it makes software for, I'm just going to say, all the world's nonprofits. So nonprofit professionals tend to not be they don't brag about themselves. They do what they love because they love doing it. So that's another great thing about Blackbaud. Plug. But so we give them this space that they can come in and they can share what their win for the week is. The past week we asked them what their win was for professional development. And that's just things like, what have you done to get certified, or any tests that you've taken, or anything that you've done to kind of boost your professional side. And we had a lot of people come in and respond to that. So we're very proud of the engagement that those types of questions kick off. So win for the week was one of them. Our member of the week, so we pick a new member every week to spotlight, which I can get into a little bit later, because that's my baby. I'm kind of proud of it. We have events like Coffee with Community. That's where all of our community managers get together and we chat. We have an open chat session, an open talk session with our community members. And so we just pick a theme. Like our next one is about fall fundraising. This is a big time for nonprofits to raise money. So, and then we have Holly's helpful hint. See, there's Holly, where she takes a look at some of the new features of the community space and kind of walks them through how to use it. And then I think that was the last one. Yeah, so I'm in the slider. So our best practices area is something that we also created here at Blackbaud. This is a very, very highly engaged space for us. Two, because it kind of takes the focus off of what product they use. So again, at the core, we sell software and services. We have all of our communities that are about that particular piece of this. So we kind of want to strip that away, make it not about product, but more about the jobs that they do on a daily basis. So there are a couple of things here that we started implementing. One was their mission in action photo, where we basically just asked them to upload a picture of their mission in action, something that they're very proud of. So we had several submissions for that, and then we started using those pictures in the space itself, so kind of create a dynamic environment that felt like home to them. So we started using their mission and action photos in our design, and we're going to continue to do that as we progressively move throughout the ever-changing design of our website. So, and then we also have things that they can come in and they can just talk about things that they do on a day-to-day basis. Has nothing to do with their product. It might be talking about how excited they are about our upcoming conference, or on Mondays we have Motivation Monday, and basically we just say, hey, it's Monday, here's something that gets me fired on Mondays, what's something that you're looking forward to this week, or what's driving you this week. So we always look for those opportunities to kind of do a generic, they're very successful in this community. And so I can talk about I feel like I'm taking a lot of time. So I'll talk about spotlights a little later. I think there's probably a space for that. But anyway, that's just kind of a general overlook of the Blackbaud community in terms of engagement. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen now. Let someone else talk.
No, that was great. Thank you. Well, so I'll jump us into the number 2 question. I think in little ways everyone answered this a little bit with the pitch about which community you've been working on, but really think about what are some of the reasons for creating that project, and would love to hear from you on that.
Yeah, so I can go. The big reason for us, like I said, was we were in this very transformative year in 2015, where we were just trying to consolidate. We were trying to move as fast as we possibly could, and bring all of these spaces together. The reason for the most recent project, the Community 2.0 project that we refer to, was really to start making our site feel and look like it was part of the Blackbaud experience. And so we worked very hard both on our operational model and who we were engaging internally, as well as the look and the feel and the experience of the site, to make it feel like Blackbaud's next generation of products. So we partnered with some of our emerging products and our emerging user experience to really start or to inform our design. And then we took that design and we made it agile enough that we are able to stay at the front of our innovation cycle for our company with this design and with the experience that we're now presenting through the community.
How about you, Julie?
So I already talked a little bit about the reason for celebrating, the success stories, the data analysts, the individuals, and those companies. But there were a couple of other reasons, obviously, as well for us as a company. Those great stories serve us, in the pre-sale cycle. They serve to inspire other people were already using our products, so expanding what they're the services that they're using. So that was definitely a reason. Alteryx has there's a toolkit, and I think there are about 250 some. Somebody will correct me, I'm sure, from my company, but there's 250 some tools that you can use. So it's a very complex, although very easy and intuitive to use. There are so many things that you can do with it, and you may not even know the 3/4 of what you can do with it. So using those stories to inspire and inform other users about what they can do with the product. And there was also wanting to be more than a support community. We're really about the people, and we want to empower our people, our users, to do good with our product. And that kind of tied in with an ongoing initiative that we were getting started at Alteryx for Good, where we're encouraging people to use our product outside of their work environment, in their personal life, to help charities or whatever it is. But for us, it was really, we wanted to give them the opportunity to do some good in their life, and we did that by putting $100,000 on the table and as the prize to split between the winners in the different categories. And the winners were able to select a charity of their choice and donate that money. So a couple of different reasons, but that was a big one for us as well.
Cool. Sherry, how about you? What are some reasons behind your projects?
There were actually some internal reasons and some external reasons for the contributor project. I think the meetup one is fairly self-explanatory. But for Magento Masters, I had people coming to me asking, hey, I need to invite 20 EMEA developers to this event. Who do I invite? Or, hey, I want to run some user experience research by the top active people in the community. Who are they? Or why was this person invited to this event and I wasn't? Or how can solution specialists get more involved in the community? Things of that nature. And so I was able to package those all into a solution where now if someone wants to know who has been speaking the most at events in the last year, I have that data at my fingertips. If they want to know who can we reach out to in EMEA, I have that data at my fingertips. And so while we are publicly recognizing 20 people for the awesome work that they did, which is also a huge part of it because they've done so much for us in their spare time that it's insane. But in addition to that, we have like 900 top contributors in the ecosystem that I can get in touch with and make sure that we're really nurturing those relationships and that we know who to reach out to for different projects. So that was a big part of it.
Chris, how about you? Do you have a different reason kind of for creating the project?
I was on mute. Yeah. No, I think Holly nailed it. I mean, the big thing was recognizing that all of our products were in different places. They all needed to come together in one community. That was a huge undertaking. So we got them all there, and then it was a matter of taking a look at how can we make our community look more like our company, and that was big for us. So I think the takeaway is that our community is ever evolving and it's never going to stop evolving. We're going to come up with new things every month. It's almost going to be like a constant release cycle with community. That's why we jokingly call it 2.0 because we know 2.5 is in the pipeline. We know 3.0 is coming down the road. So yeah, just always be evolving in your community. Always, strive to make that environment just a little bit different, just a little bit better. And I think that's, key to success there.
Awesome. So how about this, if you would, Crystal? What was your biggest challenge along the way?
Biggest challenges along the way. Well, I mean, I think anytime you work, God, why'd you have to lob this one at me first? I think anytime you work with a vendor, there's going to be challenges. Oh, how do I put this tactfully? Okay, so Holly's laughing at me because she knows. We had such a huge project with Community 2.0. We knew it. Our vendor knew it. But what we did for the project, they weren't able to do exactly at first or not exactly the way we wanted it to happen, or there were some issues with the way we wanted it to happen. So we really had to work closely with them to make our community a reality. And I think, in a sense, helped our vendor grow as well. They have a huge company like Blackbaud that they're, trying to work with. So I think the biggest challenge we ran into is, obviously time. We wanted it to get out sooner, but we again, those issues would come up. When it was released, it was amazing. I mean, I feel like Holly can probably talk more about the behind the scenes stuff. She worked really closely with our vendor to make it happen. So as soon as all of that kind of came together, then our strategy shifted to, okay, well, it's here. What do we do in terms of like engagement, in terms of like keeping it fluent, in terms of making sure that we're constantly updating it. So, yeah, I feel like the biggest challenge might have been working with our vendor on that one, because I don't feel like us as a team, a community management team, we were all kind of on the same page when we all came together and we outlined the plan of what we wanted it to look like, how we wanted onboarding to go. We were all pretty much on the same page with it. So if Holly wants to take over from this point, I don't want to.
Yeah.
I don't want to open mouth insert foot. That's what I'm trying not to do. So.
Yeah, so I'll add on to what Crystal says, and then we can get off the Blackbaud conversation for a minute. But so we're actually really proud of the fact that as a client of our vendor, we are constantly pushing them to innovate their product. And so it's not that we were just subject to following our own innovation cycles and our own internal processes, but we also were pushing our vendor to innovate at our rate. And so we had some things happen during this process. The vendor actually got acquired right at the beginning of the project, so that put some slamming brakes on the project. But what happened was that our vendor changed their release cycle to a rapid release cycle, so that every 2 weeks they are able now to update and release to their product. And a lot of that came because Blackbaud was pushing for that kind of cycle. So we're very proud of the fact that we not only our community is moving towards that leading edge design and management, but that we're pushing that vendor as well. And so it's been this great partnership between the vendor and Blackbaud as far as community innovation. But it is definitely challenging anytime you ask anyone to change anything about what their product is.
What about you, Julie? What are some of your biggest challenges?
That's a great question. So we really wanted these two programs that kind of went hand in hand when we introduced them to be right, to be amazing right out of the gate, because we did care very deeply about Alteryx for Good and the Analytics Excellence Awards and making it something that we can repeat year over year. And we had a very, very short time frame to make that happen, from the moment that the idea was kind of dropped in our laps and it started taking a form of its own. So the time frame was very short, as well as when you're launching something like that, which is going to be in the spotlight, you're going to put your customers in the spotlight. Everyone in the company kind of wants to get something specific out of it, and they all have their own ideas about what free-form should look like, what information we should gather, what the prizes should be, what kind of promotion we should be doing. So really taking a step back, and we formed a little committee who met on a weekly basis to keep track of progress, but who really were the decision makers and working together to make sure that it was the right program, because ultimately it is about our community, our users, and in the end, organizations are going to be getting some big charity money. So yeah, that was a big challenge, but it ended up, the response was pretty amazing, and we had to ramp up very quickly. We leveraged the community to do all of that, which meant that I was putting up all of the nominations as they came in. So I don't know if you know, but you have to work back and forth sometimes with the people submitting their stories on the format, missing information, images. Oh, you didn't include any images. Your entry would really be or have more impact if it had visuals, if it had supporting material. So that took a lot of time, and we've learned a lot from that. We're definitely considering how we're going to maybe change the format of that a bit in the future, whether we're going to allow people to just straight up, post their entries on the community itself, and then we'll work with them afterwards, or we'll create a form on the community itself, a custom form basically that will go in and fill in all that they need. So yeah, that was a pretty big challenge, and we're already, we had a postmortem where we're looking at how we can definitely improve that process next year.
Postmortem, music to my ears. That's how you fix stuff, right? Hey, Sherry, how about you? What are some of your biggest challenges?
I think for the most part, it was communication and the fact that we had to make sure that we were involving all of the key stakeholders internally at the right points in time so that no one felt like their areas were getting their toes stepped on, etc. It helps a lot, I've found, to be a little bit more proactive about that. And then probably the biggest challenge then was communicating it externally. Inevitably, someone would expect themselves to be in that top 20 contributor list, and they weren't. And so you have to deal with managing those expectations and making sure that they still feel valued and a strong part of the community, because they are. It's, in a community of this size, really, really hard to narrow it down to 20 people, which is why we spent a lot of time developing the algorithm and making sure that it was very data-driven to point back to that. And also, along with that, when we presented those who were selected, we really put a lot of effort into explaining why they were selected. So that everyone could be excited for those who were selected and focus more on that than being disappointed that them or a close friend they thought should be there or whatnot were not. So it's mostly managing expectations internally and externally were our biggest challenges.
Now we get to talk about the fun stuff, the proud stuff, right? So we just got a little bit anxious on the challenges, but so what are you most proud of? Let's talk about that. Julie, I'll just swing it right back to you.
Sure. Well, when we got $100,000 in our lap to for people to win, and we had to put together this program, we were worried that nobody would submit stories and that it would be a big flop. So we were really thrilled with the response of the community. Just for a first run, we got 48 entries, I believe, which may not seem like much, but it's 48 fantastic success stories that we were able to gather. And out of those, we awarded seven trophies, 7 awards, 7 shares of that $100,000. So I'm really proud of how all of that turned out, and every aspect of it, really, how we were able to pull that off and have people called out on main stage at our conference, and that we were able to allow them to to donate that money to their charities of their choice. We had actually a data analyst who entered the contest just because he had a very personal story. His niece came from Uganda, from an orphanage there, and he really wanted to win because of that. That was his drive, and he won. It wasn't because it was arranged, but we were able to make that happen, and he was so touched and very emotional. And when you meet those people, at the conference, and you can see how happy it makes them and how it's going to change lives. How could you not be proud, right? So, yeah.
I'm sorry if I keep looking at my window. We are getting like a really bad band right now from this tropical storm, and it's getting kind of scary. I don't know, like I've got like trees falling out there and stuff. So let me just shut the curtain.
At first, when you said we have a bad band out there, I was like, well, are they playing covers? Is it all original?
Yeah, no, I wish it was that kind of band. No, it's the tropical storm type band here in Charleston. I think one of the things I'm most proud of with this Community 2.0 project, and I'm trying to get the share screen back up because I'm going to keep sharing, you guys. I'm just going to keep sharing. I want to see some sites too. I'm just going to throw that out there. But anyway, one of the things I'm most proud of is, can you see my screen? Just making sure.
Yes, we can see it perfectly.
Okay. Awesome. So we started a member spotlight page where we pick a member and we spotlight them. That's pretty much what a member spotlight page is. So far, we've gotten quite a few, but what this allows us to do, one is, as Blackbaud itself is a very customer-focused company, but what you don't really get to a lot of the times are like the people behind the product. So what these spotlights allow us to do is find out some fun things about the customers or these community champions or these people who use a lot of Blackbaud products and services. Things like, you know, we had Stephanie Crawley here. She was a contestant on Wheel of Fortune in the 80s, not with Pat Sajak, with Chuck Woolery. That's how far back she was on Wheel of Fortune. This guy was like a dance champion. He placed 3rd place at a dance championship in New York City. You know, we had one person that submitted a profile. We haven't done it yet, and he beat the world's fastest cow in a foot race. So we take like little nuggets of that information about our client, and basically we've got all this great information that we can use. For example, what we did internally at Blackbaud is we took like one little factoid about all these people that we're showcasing, and we said something like, did you know that, you know, Stephanie Crawley was on Wheel of Fortune back in the 80s? And then we printed out these little flyers, and we put them all across the building, and it's got, you know, find out more about them in the Blackbaud community, and then it has little tear-off tabs with our URL on it. So that was kind of like an internal marketing campaign for us, but it also kind of gave everybody this, you have to imagine in your head a building of, you know, 2,000 people. It gave them an opportunity to see that there are people in community that they can connect with that are our customers, but they're really fun. Like one person has a cat named Abba. I know a lot about our community members now because of these spotlights. So, and it's a very easy process. We just set up a form, or Holly set up a form. They go in, they fill out a couple of questions. I think there's about 10, and they submit a couple of pictures with it. And then boom, we have, right now we have about 100 that we can cycle through. We've only done about, you know, 15 or 20, but we have that content that's consistent, and we can put one up every week now for the next, you know, couple of years, just based on the stock that we already have in place. So yeah, I'm pretty proud of my community member profiles, and I will continue to be proud of them. And if anybody has any questions about how we did it or the questions we asked, you know, they can reach out to me and let me know. But yeah, so I'm going to stop sharing my screen by clicking this button right here. All right.
Awesome. Who else has some something they're proud of?
I will share a screenshot just to make Crystal happy here, because I know that she's going to lose her mind if no one else does. So this is just the landing page for Magento Masters on our site. But you can kind of see how, in that picture, like how proud some of the recipients were of that award. And for me, that's been a really fun part. People have added this to their LinkedIn profiles. They have their awards at work. But even more than that, the community has really started to look to these guys even more so than they already were as mentors and as people to look up to, because they have so much respect for them. Anna, who is actually, she was our only female this year. A lot of women in the community have really gotten more involved since then, and have spoke to her about that role and about how she is good at getting involved in the community and contributing as a woman. There's been others where people have approached them and asked how they got started speaking in the community, how they find good speaking gigs, things like that. And so it's just been really fun to see them really elevated and to see their their willingness and their humbleness really to mentor others that they hope to see in those spots next year. So for me, I think every single person that we sent the invitation to for this program was really honored and humble about being selected. And for me, that was really huge. It was a sign that we had the right people, because all of them were so grateful and humble about the opportunity.
Cool. So what I don't want to do is I don't want to move on yet to our next question unless everybody's given me a proud moment.
I'll do a proud moment. Again,
right.
I can brag about this community all day. So for me, I think one of our big goals when we really started diving into the Blackbaud community was that we wanted to be integrated into the Blackbaud experience. We like to say that we're the heart of the Blackbaud customer experience. And yesterday, Blackbaud had our quarterly all hands meeting. So we put all 3,000 plus employees online. We talked to each other. And so our chief officers report out. And what was so exciting, for so long we've wanted to hear we wanted community to be part of that presentation. And there was a dedicated section of the meeting that was all about community and how it plays a role in the customer experience. And that was exciting. However, the more exciting thing, the thing that made me super proud, was that when our chief marketing officer stood up and reported on the state of marketing in the company, and when our chief technology officer stood up and reported on the state of technology in the company, both of them talked about community as just part of that, that experience. And so one of the things, and I'll share my screen too, so that it's so Crystal doesn't feel so left out. So one of my things is our chief marketing officer referenced community and how we're using community for our conference. Last year when we reached out to the marketing team and said, hey, we have this community, and I'm sorry, can you guys see my screen? Yes?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Cool. So last year when we reached out to the marketing team and said, hey, we have this community, we'd love to be a part of BBCon, the marketing was like, we got this. This year, we said, hey, we want to stand up a BBCon community. We want to create an online experience that transcends that week in National Harbor in October. We want to be able to give customers a chance to get excited about the conference, to share information about attending these conferences. During the conference, we want them to do things, and then after the conference, we want them to continue to share and talk to each other about what they learned. So the chief marketing officer stood up yesterday and said, for the first time ever, Blackbaud's going to be live streaming our keynote speakers and our big idea sessions, and all of that is going to be hosted in the Blackbaud community on this BBCon site. So we're so excited that we've become that heart of the experience, and we're not having to kind of push community into all of these experiences, but rather the company is coming to community and saying, we know you guys are working and we know you guys are doing good work. How can we work with you? And so that's maybe the thing that I am absolutely the most proud of.
How, let's kind of get back. Every time we talk community, we always talk about measurements, and I think we could probably blow this and do an entire conversation. So we'll try to keep it a little short. But tell me, how do you measure success?
I can start with that one, actually.
Great.
So about 10 months ago, we did a SUS assessment of the Blackbaud community, a site usability survey. And that was to develop a baseline. We knew we were going into a redesign. We knew we were putting all kinds of new UX in the site. So we needed a baseline for success. So we did a SUS. We have a SUS score. And then we also along with that, pulled out some key indicators for success from our customers' feedback and from our internal feedback as well. And then as we were designing, we continued to kind of look at that, or those anecdotal pieces of feedback, as well as usability reporting. We've been live for a month with our new site. We're getting ready to introduce a second SUS It's about a year out from the first. We anticipate much better scores this time because the site isn't crazy anymore. And and then on top of it, we're able to also just see better numbers, see and check off those anecdotal things that we knew we had to change. And so we're starting to be able to put quantitative data behind our success. Qualitatively, we've checked it off. We said, yes, absolutely, we've done this, success. And now we're in a position to actually quantify success as well, based on some of the baselines that we established a year ago.
How about you, Julie? How do you measure success?
So for us, it's, I mean, the program itself, Alteryx for Good, for example, it's based on the social good that it does, right? So our core metric is how much can we help. So those stories, we've awarded, we've just recently, I think it was in July or August, gave out those checks. So we don't yet know what the impact has been, but the core metric is, how much can we help? And we're starting to see those stories kind of rolling in now. It's really inspiring. So, I guess have me back in 12 months from now and we can talk about it from, again, or in 30 or 90 days. But so for the Excellence Awards, we really didn't know what to expect. Like I mentioned earlier, we had never done something like this before. So we were going to be happy if we had one entry per category, really, and we got 48. So that becomes our baseline for next year. And as far as other metrics that we were monitoring, we were requiring people to register on our community to vote. So that's something that we were looking at, and we did see that it did, once people were into the community, because they weren't already signed up, they were discovering other areas of the community, and we saw all of the other metrics trend up, basically, as they were discovering all of the content that we had that was not necessarily relating to the program itself. So, it was a great impact on our community platform and online community itself. And then as far as the broad community, we'll see what the impact is. And I'll be happy to share those stories once we have tangible results to share.
We'll mark it down. We'll bring it back. That'll be fun.
Awesome.
Krista, what about you? Do you have any different ways you measure success?
In our hearts. I don't know. I like Julie's answer. Amen to that, sister. I think I even tweeted that out to you. Yeah, but like Holly said, we have our ways. We put together internal measurements as well. I mean, we've got ways to measure success across the board. I mean, we've got analytics, we've got reporting. I just kind of take a look at the community itself sometimes, just kind of hover over it. Are people talking? Are they in a good mood? Are they happy? Take away all the metrics of it and just take a look at your community. And you can get a pulse of your community just by looking at it. I know that sounds kind of like hippy-dippy, but it's true. I measure success in how we work together as a team. I measure success in are our internal stakeholders buying in? There are so many ways you can measure success. And right now, I honestly feel like we're in such a good place with our community, and it's just going to get better. So I'm excited about it. Therefore, I feel like it's a success. That's my pageant answer.
I feel obligated to throw out here because I'm such a psycho about measuring things. Some things you can do with redesigns, in case anyone is looking for ideas of what to measure, is think about like your goals in the redesign. And if you're trying to increase signups, measure the difference in registration rate. If you're trying to increase like views overall, measure the difference in views before and after. And those things will definitely help you as well. For these projects, with the Meetup project, we're looking at how many meetups we could onboard to Meetup Pro. And we've actually been able to have 44 migrate over, which is really great. We're also looking at, part of this was getting in touch with the meetup organizers. And so being able to establish those points of contact, some of them have revived inactive meetups, which is really cool to see. And then just watching their growth as they're part of this portal that we can promote out, seeing their difference in growth rate, which we can also see. So that's been really great. And then with the masters, it's a little bit, that one's actually a little trickier to measure, I will admit. I put together some stats for the Lithia Award we did, since our community runs on Lithium. And it did increase participation on the forums with those who were in the program, and participation went up a little bit for those who weren't as well, but that was such a small time period that it's hard to say how that looks over the whole year, because that happened to be a period of time shortly before our conference, when things are usually a little busier. So that's something that I'll have to look at more to see how that compares. It is something where we've definitely been able to generate a lot more conversations around that. We had really good views on our blog from the posts announcing the program, the posts announcing the actual people selected for the program. And then there's also things like we've noticed now when people are speaking at conferences, the conference organizers will actually include that this person is a Magento master, or they'll actually submit it in a bio for something, which is really interesting to see. And then, like I said, some of them have added it to their LinkedIn, or they've included the badge on their site, or their company site put out like a press release about them being nominated. So these little things that, well, I guess not really little, but things to indicate that the value is perceived, and that there was these views and this conversation generated by the program has been really great. In addition to like the mentorship opportunities, I think actually next week, and I don't even know if I'm supposed to be sharing this yet, but I think it's okay. One of the conferences that our community is organizing is actually going to do a panel, because they realized that 4 of the masters will actually be at the conference. So they're going to do a panel where people who are there can ask them questions about how to get involved contributing to the community. So it's pretty cool to see things like that. Some of it's quantitative, some of it's qualitative, but it all works together to show that there is value from the project being there.
Cool. On my project, the metrics will be retention, which for the employees. So if we see retention kind of go up over a period of time, we know things are working. So we have like 3 questions left and 6 minutes. So instead of doing a lightning round, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna throw out the questions, and then you just like we'll figure out what we're gonna talk about. So there's, how did you introduce the project to your community? What else should we know about your project? And then what tips do you have? So what do you think? We'll leave it up to you guys. What do you want to talk about? What do you think we can talk about quickly enough but still add value?
I like tips.
Let's go with tips.
Yeah.
Let's do the tips.
Yeah. Since we've been tweeting about it, I think for us the big one is get those internal stakeholders on board. It's so critical for us that we have buy-in across, like cross-functionally in all of our businesses, anyone that the community impacts, and at every point of the customer experience. Just make sure those stakeholders are on board, that they're contributing, and that they're engaged within the space.
I'd say look for opportunities to get your community engaged in your product too. If you've got, like, poll your community, bring in some beta testers from your community. Just make sure that you've got their voice represented in community as you're moving forward with any sort of project, whether it be a redesign or a champions program like Sherry's working on or anything like that. Just make sure that they've got a voice in what's going on with their community.
So I'll echo what Holly said about getting your stakeholders on board and everyone internally to get the message out, to get them to engage externally, to talk about it at any time that they can with their customers. That will help a whole lot. And just tying back to what Crystal said earlier, lead with the heart. It's all about the heart, right? So, there's there's plenty of tactical things that you need to do to get it, a program like the one that we did off the ground. But you need to make sure that it's well thought through, that it's not trying to serve everyone in the company across the different departments. You want to make sure that you put care into it and that it remains about the people in your community, because they will respond to authenticity and emotion. So
Julie stole all my points because she's so smart.
Sorry. Feedback.
No, I was totally going to, which you've already said now, but I was totally going to say to make sure you've really thought through everything, like take the time to plan it out. It's worth it. It makes a big difference to do that than to rush through something. Obviously don't be stuck in analysis paralysis forever, like make it happen, but make sure that you've thought through everything and that you've presented it to other people internally as well, so that you have some sort of sense of how it will be received. And then, yeah, absolutely, your community can sense your motive behind everything, so you better make sure it's a motive that they're okay with.
I'll give one tip. I would say, I don't know, I'm really big on metrics, and they don't have to be huge metrics. They could be simple, right? It's just like, start simple. What's the first thing that we can do? Well, how do we measure success? And then just make that happen, and then you can just continue getting more buy-in. So that's my one tip. I guess that's it, guys. We have literally 1 minute left. If anyone has anything they were like, I wish I would have said that during the last hour.
Julie, do you want to share a screenshot of your projects or anything? If you don't, that's okay. You can share the link. You do? Yeah?
Sure. I will do
we haven't
two
seen
things.
Yours yet.
I will do two things. Can I share quickly in 1 minute? Yes, come on. All right. Browser. You guys don't want to see my calendar or my emails. Where's my browser?
We might, but it might stress me out knowing.
There we go. All right. So actually, here it is. Let me, and I was going to show you some stats afterwards. But so this is the page on the community, the landing page where people can come. And so we had a little description at the top. We had rules that were linked to. We ran this in our Inspire Europe conference that's coming up. Actually, it was a much smaller, it's much smaller in general, so we didn't get as many nominations, but people can come here and then they can filter down through the different, industries or, verticals, horizontal, whatever it is, all of the different categories that we had, and working to do some work in making sure these are displayed better in the future. But yeah, so basically that's the way that we had, the format of the entry, very straightforward. Describe the problem that you needed to solve, the benefits that you achieved, and the solutions. I skipped that one. Describe your working solution, the benefits. And so you can see it's very visual, and then we really put the focus on the author and the individual contributors. So that's the awards, and then Alteryx for Good. I know we're out of time, but I'm going to show you that page quickly. So on the homepage of our website, we've added a logo for Alteryx for Good, so you can go there directly, and it does take you to a page on the community. So it explains what the program is all about, and then people can apply. So if you're a foundation, if you're in education sector or government, you can apply for the program to get a license and get started. So that's it. I'll share my metrics on another Hangout if you invite me back.
Excellent.
That's cool.
Yeah, thanks. All right, guys. Well, that's it. We will see you in a month from now on the first Friday of October.
We'll be talking about brand ambassadors with, I believe, Nicole from Mobilize. And anyone else who wants to join.
And have a great Labor Day weekend. Have fun. Stay safe.
Reminder
too.
to everyone, Crystal is hiring, Brew is always hiring, and I believe Julie said she was hiring as
Yes,
well.
we're hiring a senior community administrator. So
if you need a community job, talk to these guys.
I'm not personally hiring, just so we're clear.
I could use an intern. I could use an intern if anyone's listening. So,
Thanks,
all right,
everybody.
guys. Have a great weekend.
Thanks,
Thanks, everyone.
bye. Thanks.